Hi guys, my name is Demi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm such a yapper and I feel like for people that make yapping content, YouTube is definitely like the best place to be. Like I just don't thrive on Instagram and TikTok because everything is like so short. So for people that actually watch YouTube videos, your brain is good because people that spend their time on TikTok and Instagram, it's like a little short circuit. Today we're going to be talking about how I got into Harvard. If you've been following my content right now, you see that I've made different shorts on how I got into school. I don't feel like I had the opportunity to like really tell the story in long form how I would want to tell it. So this is me bringing you the fresh news. Okay, we're getting into it. Let's start with my why, which is why I'm making this video. And when I posted my video of me opening my letter of getting into Harvard, a lot of people reached out to me in like the comments and the DMs, and they were asking me like what my stats were. They were asking me how you got in, and I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed because like I was like, damn, like people are gonna think that I don't deserve this because quite frankly, like my stats would be like lower than like what other people who got in stats look like. So I didn't want to tell my story. But then there was like a couple DMs, and a DM in particular from this girl. We've chatted since then, so I know this about her. She's currently taking her final exams in high school, and she's in West Africa. You know, she's talking to me about getting into school, and she's afraid about how like, you know, she really wants to go to Harvard, but like she doesn't know if she has like the right grades, the right stats, and things like that. And I feel like a lot of people that are going through this journey of probably applying to Harvard or maybe just applying to like higher education or the next step in life are a lot of times scared because they feel like they don't match the status quo. I'm here to share my story of how I definitely do not match the status quo, but I still got in. Before we start, I want to let you guys know a couple stats about myself. My college GPA was a 3.1. My first GRE score was a 135 in quant and a 142 in verbal. I have never worked for a FANG company like big tech or like companies like that. I've really just worked at like smaller tech startups, and I would not say like there's any time in my life where I've ever felt like the smallest person in the room or like been in a room with other people who met this criteria and felt like I was like odd or left out. But I also think that at the same time, if you were to ask all my friends and ask them like, who do you think is most likely to get into Harvard? I don't think they would say it was me. This desire started around like 2019, 2020. This was like during the pandemic. I wrote my GRE for the first time because I really wanted to go to grad school. And the only schools, I kid you not, that I actually sent my GRE score to was Harvard. Because Harvard, I think they give you, I think GRE gives you like 3 free sends. I sent it to Harvard. So all my free sends went to Harvard. In my mind, there was like no other option. I'm like, it's either Harvard or like nothing else. Like that's why I'm going. I was rejected. Looking back at it, I don't doubt, or I don't see, I see why they rejected me. My GRE score at this time, 1.3 quant, 142 verbal, and then I had a 3.1 GPA up on everything. I bet that those people looked at my application and they were like,
stop it, get some help.
Yeah, you need to get the fuck out of here. And I think that at the time I was really devastated. But I was devastated to the point that I'm like, okay, I have to go try again. Like this is not the end. I turned it into a challenge, if anything. It was DEMI versus Harvard at this point in my mind. I ended up applying again, but then it was a different program at Harvard and I got rejected again. And so in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But then as I said, like this had become a challenge for me. So I was really dedicated to breaking down the walls. At this point, you know, when things happen, you have to at some point do some introspection. You have to really look inside and be like, where am I messing up? Where is like, it's me. At this point, it has to be me. Of course, I knew that my GRE score was not the best. I knew that I had to work on my GRE. And so I started kind of looking up like resources, things that could help me improve my GRE. And then I found Leyland. For anybody that doesn't know, Leyland is basically like an online tutoring platform. You can find tutors to help you with like admissions. I think they also help with like classes or like interviews and stuff like that. I found a tutor. My tutor tutor was a referral from somebody. I ended up paying this tutor about $2,000. Mind you, this is $2,000 for 1 month. It was like a 6-week program. We would meet about 3 times for about 30 minutes, 3 times a week. I'm like, okay, cool. How hard can it be? So we started meeting, and then I just realized like it was a complete waste of time for the following reasons. Number one, 30 minutes is not enough time to actually recap issues that you're having, especially when it comes to the GRE. In fact, when we meet up to talk for 30 minutes, we probably spend like the first, I want to say 7-8 minutes doing pleasantries. Hi, how's the weather? And when it comes to me, I'm a bird brain when it comes to math. So it's like the question that will probably take like someone 10 minutes to get is probably going to take me like 20-25 minutes to get. So session is already over. By the time you add all the pleasantries and like the actual question breakdown, everything's over. At the end of week 4, he was sending me his invoice talking about, oh, we're almost coming up on your package. Do you want to sign up for more? I'm like, what? What the fuck? Honey, I haven't even gotten the ROI from this package that I signed up for, and you're asking me to sign up for more? So I really sat down with myself, and I will be honest with you guys, I cried because it felt like my dreams were out of reach. I remember like really thinking to myself, like, I wonder if other people are feeling the way that I'm feeling. I'm the type of person that whenever I'm feeling some type of way, like I go on Facebook just to kind of see like if there's any groups or anything out there. I ended up finding this group on Facebook. This group on Facebook was people trying to take the GRE. When I joined this group on Facebook, I realized that I was like really gravitating towards the complainers in the group because like shit is hard, you know, and like shit has been hard by myself this whole time, and like finding other people to talk about how hard shit is, I'm like, damn, like, let's talk about this all day. Misery loves company. And so in talking about how hard this was, it wasn't actually doing anything. Like I wasn't getting any better. I was just there sulking and complaining and not doing anything with it. And on top of that, I now found a tribe of people who were doing the exact same thing that I was. At some point, I had to really sit down with myself. And I realized that I had internalized how bad I was at math. I would just already have this preconceived notion that the problem was going to be too difficult for me. And it's like when you really have that preconceived notion, it doesn't let you try. It also doesn't let you figure out, because it's like you accept defeat before you even like attempt. I was like, I'm committed to hacking this, but in order to hack this, I need to understand myself. And that's when I realized like, okay, I am a little like neurospicy when it comes to this sort of thing. There's a way I understand stuff, and it's very, very different from how other people like understand math problems. And once I had to lean into that, I realized I learn a lot by association. So if I like associate stuff to other stuff, like it typically works out for me. After I let my tutor go and I was doing like the whole Facebook thing, I actually ended up taking the GRE again. Well, my scores significantly improved, but they weren't like still where I needed them to be. So I took a break from taking the GRE. I think I took a break for like about a year, like a couple months. And like I just really dedicated that time towards like studying. I was doing past questions. There was this guy on YouTube. Well, it's a couple different people on YouTube that I started watching, just like seeing like how they would work with like quantitative analysis and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, this actually like makes sense for me. Once I figured out how to actually learn, like everything just changed. I remember the day that my GRE score came out. That day I was coming back from work. My mom was in the house. When I opened that letter, I saw that I had a 170 in my quant and 164 in my verbal. And I'm like, I freaking maxed out the quant scale. I'm like, they probably sent the results for another dim lady. Like, it can't be me. Like, it's probably like another girl is sitting somewhere getting my sad results, thinking like, how did I mess up this bad? And here I am opening her results. I think it later dawned on me like quickly after when I got in the house that yeah, like I actually really did this shit. Let's talk about the essay. The first time I wrote my essay for Harvard, I sat down and listed all the amazing things about myself. It was a word vomit of everything that I thought they wanted to hear. Oh, I've done this, I made this one, that one, everything that I could think about myself. And honestly, like I cringe when I really think about that first application. The second time that I did my essay, I actually got a consultant from Leland, and I talked about Leland earlier. I think I paid like a little over $2,000 again for a consultant. This consultant, like she went to Harvard. So I'm like, okay, this is like the best person. If anybody knows how to get into Harvard, it's this girl. Come on, put a sister on. In my mind, I'm like, okay, this girl clearly knows how to get into Harvard and she's gonna get me into Harvard. Fail. I did not get into Harvard. I can look back at it and I can laugh because I remember I sat down with this girl so many evenings after work. We would sit down, I would write essay. We would look at the essay together. We would say, okay, remove the comma here, put this one there. It did not work. The application consultant industry is a $2 billion industry. So imagine how many people like me are paying people $2,000, $4,000, and God knows how much more to get into schools and are not even getting into that school. And I think just thinking about that figure and that number is really sad on its own. So Harvard accepts roughly about 1 to 5% of applicants who apply, and this is across all different Harvard schools. And admission officers spend an average of 8 minutes per application. That means that if you're going to tell your story here in your essays, you need 8 minutes to actually grab their attention. So the strategy and the way you go about this is going to be very, very important. People who write successful essays know how to grab the attention of the reader. In order to do this, or this aspect of the essay, I had to almost put myself in like a operating table. I had to dissect myself. At this time, I wasn't just concentrating and looking for like the good parts. I was looking for every single part of this. I'm looking for, what are the good parts? What are the bad parts of my story? What are the parts that I doubted myself? What are the parts that are non-traditional? The parts that I'm scared to let out. And I started to list and kind of write all those things down. When you really zoom out and look at myself, I'm really multifaceted. So I run a tech startup, but I also have a nonprofit, but then I also do all these 10-9 things in the background. I'm in the military as well. So anybody who looks at it is going to be like, damn, this girl doesn't know what she's doing. But when you really, really zoom in, you see that every single thing that I do is connected through service. And I needed to find a way to make sure that that service was woven into every single story that I was going to tell within the lines of my essay. If you're listening to this right now and you feel like you struggle with your essays, I want you to really look at your stories, because your essays are going to prompt you to think about those stories. I want you to think about 1 or 2 qualities. If somebody is reading this essay or reading these things about me, what's 1 or 2 things that I want them to get about myself, my personality, or my character? So I got my pen and paper and I talked about my dad passing away. I talked about starting my nonprofit. I talked about moving to the US at such a young age, talked about all those different things. And, third time I did it, clearly worked. It worked well enough that they gave me a JFK scholarship, which comes out to, I think, a little over $26,000 a year. And it's been really, really helpful. Don't be scared to be vulnerable, but make sure that your vulnerability is telling a larger story and it's just not making you look cuckoo and delusional. When you ask a lot of people why they want to go to Harvard, people don't really have a concrete reason, and most people want to go to Harvard because it's Harvard. I was one of those people. And this third time, of course, at this point in my life, I had a lot going on for myself. So I really had to sit down to myself and think about this. And I'm like, why do I even want to go? What do I even hope or aim to get out of this in the first place? Within that self-searching, I was able to craft a third time application that actually worked. Here's the 5 things that I know that I did differently this time. Number 1, I chose the right program. The third time I applied for the MPA because it is a choose your own adventure type of program, right? It allows me to take classes at the Harvard Business School, Harvard Kennedy School, and it's something that I want to really get into in the next couple of years. And I feel like this would be a good stepping stone for me to get to that point. Number 2, I found my thorough line. That third time, I really had to understand what am I? Who am I? When people read my essay, what do I want them to get about me? The third thing that I did, and guys, this is super underrated, but recommenders. I chose people that actually knew me, people that actually worked with me. If you're picking your recommenders for your letter of recommendation, don't be scared to let them humanize you, because I think that at the end of the day, it's Harvard and a lot of these grad schools know that people are not perfect, and they're really looking for, what are some of the areas or flaws that this person might be looking to work on. Number 4, I sold them on myself. I walked into that application really thinking that Harvard needs me. I don't need them. I went into it with that mentality. I think it worked. The 5th thing, which is the most important, is I connected everything together. If you had told 16-year-old me that you're going to be going to Harvard soon, I would have been like, get the fuck out here and stop wasting my time. I didn't know that this was going to happen, but that's the difference between things that happen and things that don't. Things that happen take trial. It takes It takes trial and error. And rejection is so key. Sometimes you just have to keep getting rejected and going and pushing through either way when you want that dream. And you have to try. If you don't try, you will never succeed. Sometimes people mentally count themselves out. Imagine if I had counted myself out, it would never happen. But I had to have that first faith in myself. So what is my life going to look like going to Harvard? And what is my life going to look like after Harvard? I don't know. I can't say. All I know is that it's going to be awesome, amazing, and wonderful. Overall, I can't wait to be in a room full of like-minded, wonderful, amazing individuals who all have different stories to share about their view of the world. I'm excited. And if you don't get into Harvard and if you don't get into your dream school, try again. While you're trying, don't forget to keep building yourself. Big thank you shout out to the girl who DM'd me. And thank you so much for giving me the courage to tell my story. If you are going through a similar situation, I hope that this is in some sense helpful for you. Leave a comment below if you need help on anything. Thank you guys so much. And I hope you all get into your dream schools. Bye.